Welcome to After the Rain, a storytelling podcast from Playa Lakes Joint Venture. These are the voices stewarding the land and the stories that surface after the rain. When the Texas Playa Conservation Initiative first started, a few landowners were quick to get involved. One of them was Norman Burge, who manages land in both Floyd County, Texas, and Curry County, New Mexico. For Norman, playa restoration wasn't a hard sell. It just made sense. So what got him interested in restoring a playa?
I reached out to Texas Parks and Wildlife, looking for some help because one of the things I wanted to do was try to get some game birds. So they sent off a biologist, and he saw that the playa had a pit in it. And he asked me about it and told me a little bit. And I think he emailed me later some links to some scientific information. And so I looked through it and gave me the details. And I said, yeah, let's do it.
Norman says his restored playa didn't change much about his day-to-day operation.
I'm basically an absentee landowner. My ground's been in CRP since sometime in the mid to late 80s. So the pit had been there for, I don't remember how long. Once upon a time, there were 2 wells there, and they also watered out of the pit when there was excess water.
Filling the pit opened his eyes to how playas actually function and changed the way he thought about water.
I guess the biggest thing is to understand the impact or how a playa lake really works. It looked like a leaky bowl to me. Water would run in there and in a little bit it'd be gone. And it looked like, well, if you concentrate that into a smaller place, then you get to save that water up on top. But, whenever they talked about replenishing the aquifer and stuff like that, then it made more sense to me to restore it as best we could. Water tables continue to fall around here. We're going to run out at some point if we keep going at the current trend.
That realization hit even harder when he saw what was happening across the border in New Mexico.
I also own some land in Curry County, New Mexico, and that same program was going over there. Water is much more scarce. We had a very thin water table to begin with, and then it started diminishing. Of course, there's still a lot of irrigation, but the wells have been shut off. So that's when it really began to be a concern. When you don't even have enough water to water stock, it's definitely a problem.
Norman's seen the story of irrigation play out over generations, from roaring engines to silent wells.
I have a neighbor, he passed a couple of years ago, but he grew up out in Floyd County, not too far from where the little farm I have is. But he would talk about whenever he was a youngster, he said they wasted more water than we have now. He talked about they would run an engine, gas engine on an irrigation well running a 9-inch pipe all the way open. And then when I was a young kid in the 60s, we'd go to my grandparents in New Mexico. You'd go through a lot of irrigated fields. You could always hear an engine running. I don't think there's enough water now that you could justify running a gas well.
Today, awareness has grown, but concern still runs deep.
My cousin's in New Mexico. She's pretty concerned about it. There's just no water. Where there used to be 4 windmills on the place, and I don't think we've got a single one that's working anymore.
For Norman, restoring playas isn't about solving everything. It's about doing what he can.
I hope it helps some in restoring the aquifer at some level. For me, it's just trying to do my part and make a change.
When he talks about stewardship, he thinks far beyond his own lifetime.
Consider the stewardship of what you have. It's not just the same as a consumable. The stuff we consume, it regenerates. And this thing will not without our help. A friend of mine, he's in the tree and landscaping business, but he said, you don't plant trees for yourself. You plant them for your grandchildren. And I think this water works the same way. You're going to have a little bit longer vision and say, what do you expect this land to be when you're gone? And hopefully get better, hopefully improve.
Norman's restored playas are small pieces of land, but part of a much bigger effort to keep water, wildlife, and heritage alive in the High Plains. From Texas to New Mexico, this is a story of one landowner who decided to do his part, one playa at a time.